So how do I script my videos? I've tried all kinds of scripting. When I first started YouTube, I wrote word for word, and that was horrible. I've always hated that. It just makes me feel like a robot because you only get to be like focused on the video for 5 seconds at a time. Then you got to look back. Then you got to do this. It just feels fake, and you're not able to really feel the emotions inside. So I did that for the first few videos. Didn't really like it. But then what I started to do is I just made a few points through my day. So I live the life that I talk about. I'll go to the gym, I speak to the boys, and I'll just keep getting ideas 24/7, just around the clock. And when I do, I naturally just kind of think of the title naturally, just because I've seen enough YouTube videos to kind of know, which ones. I just have used YouTube for like 10 years, so I know which videos kind of perform well, what kind of titles, and I'll start to get the title in my mind. And sometimes it's a title that's never been done before. Sometimes the title is like how to stop beating your meat like a little monkey. It's like no one's ever had a YouTube title like with that before. But it'll come into my mind, I'll write down the title, and straight away there'll be like one argument that I already have generated in my brain, that usually it's about like what someone has said to me and they didn't understand my point of view, so then I kind of argue with them in my mind, and then I write that point down. Oh, but if you think that fapping's okay, but you should do this, right? And then suddenly I've got the title, and I've got like one major point that like this hit that the video's about. And then I decide, depending on like what kind of videos I actually want to make, how much detail I'm going to put into this script. So sometimes with the the video I made recently on what country to raise your children in, then I made a video on should you date women or for experience, or should you wait. For these videos I literally wrote down like 5 to 10 points which I thought were relevant. I try and base it around what I think the viewer thinks right now, which is wrong, and what his counterpoint will be. So like I'm good at this stuff in terms of, you said like every word seems like it hits and I'm able to convince you. It's just because like I do this stuff for fun. I have these conversations, and then I'll say something to the guy who's asking me a question about self-improvement, and everyone always comes back with the same arguments, but they'll say, "Oh, but what about this?" So when 3 people have said that to me, then suddenly it's like when I'm recording my video, I can say, "Oh, and you might, Hamza, what about this?" It's like I can make fun of it, so that whatever they're thinking in their mind, they feel a bit foolish for having like the limiting belief, and so suddenly it's like, okay, that really hits. And then sometimes I do like the really detailed videos. So I do the full monk mode guide, I do the full testosterone guide, anxious attachment guide. For those ones, I put in a lot more work. For those ones, I usually go through like a book, and I go like step by step. Okay, intro, this is the story I'm going to tell. Next chapter is like the chapter of the book. This is what I'm going to do in there. So I did this with this book, 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. I went through step by step in the book and essentially wrote down not my own summary, but like points of each part of the book. And then as I'm writing the points, there's other arguments I want to bring in, other stories. So suddenly it's like I have a detailed script of points, stories, counter arguments. These ones take a lot more time. They're a lot less enjoyable for me, but I do think that they're more valuable for the person watching. So sometimes like I get really into doing these because they're super valuable. Other times I just hate it because it takes a lot of work. I go through an entire book, like not just a summary or anything. I literally read the entire book, so it takes days. And then I have a very detailed script, which I find quite hard to record with as well, because then I'm recording. I don't edit my video, so I'm recording. I've got to look at the script. I lose a little bit of the flow, but the video then becomes very structured, very nice. It's not word for word, but it's like each point that I want to get across is there. So sometimes it's enough to like scroll down the page for a few seconds. Of all the ones that I've done, I'd say the most effective for me has been more of like the very quick lower budget one, which is I'll literally just open up this new page. What's the title? I'll write down in very few words what story of my life that I'll tell. So I'll literally write down like story. That one day I woke up and jacked off 3 times, and the third time my dick didn't even get fully hard. Okay, sweet. I'm gonna tell. I already know the story, so I don't need to write it out fully. Okay, I know what I'm gonna say. Then after that, I'll start to write down a few arguments, and that's it. And then I don't really need to even look at the script, but it's just open in front of me on the computer whilst I record. And so sometimes when you see me, like I'll say something impactful, and then I'll just kind of like stop, and I'll just like just look at the camera. People think I'm being like dramatic or anything. I just don't know what else to say right now, so I'm waiting for my brain to quickly come on, man. Like, and sometimes you see me, I'll look away for a second. What I'm really doing is like glancing over because I've got a few points. I'm just checking, okay, have I done these points? And other times I'm a lot more honest with it. You actually see me, and I'm like, oh yeah. And another thing, oh, I've got the piece of paper or something.